We make way for the Seattle Seahawks quarterback Sam Darnold in his eighth season in the NFL and taking his team to the Super Bowl. Let me start there. First recollection of a Super Bowl growing up was which one?
Oh man, I think one of the first ones that comes to mind, has got to be Colts Bears. That one with Peyton Manning, Rex Grossman. I'm sure there was one that happened before that I could vaguely remember, but that was that was really the one that was etched into my memory just because we had a Super Bowl party with like all my Pop Warner football team, and it was really fun. I think there might have been a bounce house or something right outside the house, and I just remember having a ton of fun. It was a good time, and I'm sure all the adults were having a great time as well. So no, that was one that was kind of etched into my memory just because of how fun that experience was, just being able to celebrate having a good Pop Warner season with my teammates, and then being able to watch the game and all the fun things that come with the Super Bowl, the halftime show and all that.
How does it feel to be the first USC quarterback to play in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that after the game, going around social media, and didn't realize that, obviously. But yeah, it's great to be able to represent the university and hopefully just represent them proudly at the game.
How do you make this a regular week? I know it's the biggest week of your life, but you find coaches will say, or quarterbacks will say, we just try to make it normal. How do you go about doing that?
Yeah, I think, trying to keep the routine the same throughout the week, throughout the week leading up to the Super Bowl. And then getting a lot of game plan stuff in this week, because understanding that, there's going to be a lot of media, going to be some media responsibilities the week of the Super Bowl. That'll take most of some of the time that I spend studying. So I think doing some of the game plan stuff this week and really studying, doubling down on kind of what the Pats do, what they like to do defensively in certain situations, and kind of get ready as if the game were to be this upcoming Sunday.
But are you going to learn more from watching Denver against New England or what you guys did against the Rams?
Yeah, I think, it's interesting, right? Because that game was a blizzard, right?
Yeah.
It's and sometimes it's kind of even tough to see what they're doing on tape, just because of, how windy it was and how snowy it was at times. But no, I think, you learn a ton just by watching the other team. Obviously there's times where you can go back and learn a ton by watching yourself, watching some tendencies that maybe you've shown throughout the year, and you notice some things watching for sure, of yourself. But I think, being able to understand kind of what they're doing, especially being, in a different conference and not being able to watch any New England tape throughout this entire season. Like, we just came off a stretch. These last two games, we've played these teams 3 times throughout the season. So we had a really good idea of kind of what these defenses looked like. And, I think that goes for a whole team, obviously. So we just got to do a really good job of understanding what New England presents on defense and what their core is, what they like to do, and then kind of what their wrinkles are in certain situations.
Who reached out to you after the win that might surprise us?
Oh shoot, a cool one was Luke Combs. I had a couple country singers reach out. Luke Combs, Kenny Chesney. Those are some cool ones. Obviously, you have former quarterbacks that reach out. That is always really cool to be able to hear from guys like that. But yeah, I think the celebrities and the country music singers and different celebrities that kind of reach out to you throughout that whole process that maybe I talked to at, a Super Bowl a couple of years ago when I wasn't playing in it, or, at a, going to the Masters in Augusta, like I might have bumped into a certain person and forgot that I gave them my number, like just guys that reach out like that. It's so cool to be able to, just continue to get people to reach out, because, I think that kind of makes me understand too, like how important that game was, how important winning that NFC Championship was, and going to the Super Bowl, how big of a deal it is. And, I think there's a balance there, right? Because you want to understand, okay, like it's just the next game and it's a process, but at the same time, like I want to enjoy this. I want to enjoy every single moment with my teammates and these coaches and even the media, like doing all the media, leading up to the game. Like I want to be able to enjoy it. because you never know when you're going to get back here.
Yeah.
So, there is that double-edged sword of kind of understanding to enjoy it, enjoying every single moment, but also kind of preparing and understanding that it is a process, and we're going to treat it like the next game.
Talking to Sam Darnold, the Seahawks quarterback. Have you played with a chip on your shoulder at any point in your NFL career?
Dan, being honest with you, like I don't ever felt like I had a chip on my shoulder. I just don't think that's really my personality. I've never been like that, at any point in my life. I've always just worked hard and treated every single day as its own day. I've never, because I feel like just with me personally, like if I got too high or if I got too low, that affected me. That affected performance. So I feel like I was always just better if I just stayed right here, just even keeled, and that's just kind of who I am. So I think, and that's what you learn throughout your career, right? You learn who you are as a person, and what works best for you, and preparation and all those things. So for me, it's really important for me to just stay even keeled, and I see and I understand what people say throughout the years, and I understand that, there's some things that have been said about me and people are saying, oh, you've proved the doubters wrong, but that's not for me to say or for me to even really pay attention to, because that at the end of the day, like that doesn't matter and it doesn't affect my performance at all. Like I just got to go out there and do my job every single day. And because if I do anything other than that, if I think about the doubters or proving anyone wrong, like I feel like I'm doing my team a disservice because I'm thinking about the wrong things.
Yeah, and everybody wants to talk about your journey, and right after the game, you're asked about your journey, and you're like, my journey continues. I don't know how many people sit there and go, I just won something. Now I got to look back on what happened prior to this, and I thought your answers were mature, but I don't know how you take those questions of, let's talk about the Jets, or let's talk about Carolina, let's talk about all of these. Rough moments there when you're trying to focus on the game at hand, the job at hand.
Yeah, for sure. It's, I think just being able to handle it at this point in my career too, I feel like even mentally, like I feel like I handle it a little bit differently internally than I used to, because I realize like it is a part of the journey and it is a part of who I am. And
well, what was
I'm
it
not
like
afraid.
before internally?
Yeah, I think like I gave it a little more thought than I had to. Like I paid a little bit more attention to it, and I guess I invested a little more thought into kind of what happened in the past, and I tried to okay, like I threw this pick against this coverage, back in 2019. Like I'm not going to do that again. It's like no, sometimes mistakes happen, and you learn from it, and it's. You don't want to make the same mistakes again, but sometimes throughout your career, especially if it's a long career, like those things are going to happen. But just being able to move on and to learn from those experiences, but move on. And the days in New York, the days in Carolina, like those are part of my journey and they're part of my experience. And I loved every single part of it. Like, yeah, there were some lows that sucked. I'm not going to lie to you. And that's part of it though. Like I learned so much from that, and I'm able to move on. And it's funny, like after every single game we lost or things that didn't go well, like I was able to wake up that next day and see the sunrise and go into the building and see my teammates and have fun with my coaches. Like, that's a part of life. And, I think being able to realize that at this point in my career, like it allows you to kind of take it one day at a time and enjoy every single little moment that you get with your teammates, because as we all say, like we're never with the same team, year in, year out. Yeah, you might be with some of the similar guys, especially if you stick with the same team, but there's never all 70 that are the same throughout a season. So you just try to enjoy it as much as you can.
Did you keep all those jerseys?
Yeah, I have all my jerseys.
You got them framed?
I don't know if they're framed. They're definitely not all of them are framed, but yeah, I got them somewhere. They're up in the attic somewhere.
Explain the luxury of throwing to JSN.
Oh man, yeah, he's just a special talent. He's someone that is very quarterback friendly. He allows with his body language and the way that he runs routes, he's very friendly to throw to. But it doesn't make it easier to cover him, if that makes sense. Like, it's easy for me to kind of feel what he's thinking and what he's doing on the field, and to read his body language, whether he's going to come out of a route at full speed or if he's going to come out of a route and maybe wrap the corner and show me his, numbers and maybe slow down a little bit. But, that doesn't, like I said, that doesn't make it any easier on the defense. Like, he makes everything look the same with all the different routes and the different stems that come off those routes. So he does a really good job of that. He's really smart. He's really cognizant of how he wants to run routes. We're always talking and the dialogue that we share, to be able to, just talk about the little intrinsics that, come with running routes. And with me, like, sometimes I'm like, hey dude, like, that route might be sweet, but that's going to take too long, and I'm not going to be able to hold on to the ball that long. So I think those little conversations that we have, are very important, obviously, to our success. But he's a special player to throw to. But I think the secret sauce that makes it work is the other guys in that receiver room as well. The guys that are able to step up, whether they're playing special teams or whether they're going to have a special role for us, catching touchdowns. So it's a really special group. JSN obviously is a huge part of it, but it definitely is a special receiver group.
What about that one-handed catch that he made?
Unbelievable. I don't know if the cameras caught my reaction on that, but I was kind of looking at our sideline like, did that really just happen? But I don't know. It should never surprise us anymore. He makes so many of these special catches, and especially one-handed catches. I always, if he reaches out with one hand and he drops it, I usually blame myself for not throwing a spiral so he could judge kind of where to put his hand on the football. So he's a special player, man.
Who's taking care of the tickets?
Fiance.
Uh-oh.
Yep, Katie, my fiance. So she's got a big. I probably shouldn't have said that just now. So she's probably going to get bombarded. But she's
how many tickets?
She's handling all that.
How many tickets are we going to account for?
I don't know. We'll see what happens. I might maybe able to get some people in a suite, hopefully. But it's
I don't want you to lose money.
I think it's upwards of 20. So
yeah, I don't want you to lose money playing in the Super Bowl. As much
I
as
don't
it's
think
going to cost you.
We don't have to worry about that. We don't have to worry about that, Dan. That'll be all right.
All right. Your poor fiance. She's got a tougher week leading up to the game than you do. I'll put it that way. You're gonna have
no doubt.
A lot of friends. A lot of people.
It is.
Who are saying they're your friends.
Yeah, exactly. It is an underrated responsibility. But that was the biggest. Part of kind of this whole Super Bowl thing is being able to figure that stuff out early this week, so I don't have to worry about it next week. But I also, all the people that are coming to the game are loved ones that I've known for a long time, and they're not there for the wrong reasons. So that was also a very important part of that.
Well, congrats. You're taking the right approach. Enjoy it. You don't know when you'll be back, if you'll be back, and absorb it all you can, because it's going to go by so quickly on Sunday, and win or lose. You had a marvelous year, and my best to your parents.
All right. Thanks, Dan. I appreciate you.
Sam Darnold. Seems pretty even keel. No chip on the shoulder. It's all about moving forward. And I don't know how he's going to feel in a week from now when he's out in San Francisco, but right now, saying all the right things.